Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another video on the channel today. In today's video, another mock draft. Now, I know I'm a few days behind. Suck it up. I'm busy. I don't know what to tell you. You know, shit happens. I get busy, so sorry. The video's a few days delayed, but hopefully that won't affect the quality of the mock draft. And like I said, I'm doing these every single week. I have been for a couple months now, honestly, and the draft is coming up on April 25th, and I will be live streaming it. So if you don't want to miss my live reaction to the draft, make sure to subscribe and make sure to join the live stream as well. But let's go ahead and get right into it, starting off with the Chicago Bears. Now, as I've done literally every single time that wasn't a troll, we are going to take Caleb Williams. By the way, for those of you who don't know, on April 1st, that mock draft, that was a troll. That was not an actual mock draft. That does not count as a mock draft. None of that video is accurate to what I actually think. I was trolling. Sue me. As it currently stands, I do think the Commanders go with Jayden Daniels. I've seen they've met with him a couple of times, and like obviously, you know, they want to do their due diligence, but I don't know, just the whispers, the word on the streets, you know, kind of to me, all signs are kind of pointing to Jayden Daniels going number 2 to Washington. Then that leaves the Patriots at pick 3. I really don't see a scenario where they don't take a quarterback here. Now, in a perfect world, could they take Marvin Harrison and, like, you know, guarantee themselves to start at number 3? Yes. But a couple of things are working against them here. A, new coaching staff coming in. They're probably going to want to get their quarterback, right? Even though he's going to be the third quarterback off the board. Probably, regardless of who they pick, whether it's Drake or Jayden, they'll be the third quarterback off the board. But it's going to be this coaching staff's ticket to buy themselves time. And, you know, Robert Kraft came out and said this week that it's going to take a lot to get the third overall pick, and I believe him. So to me, it just makes too much sense. Drake May is going to be the pick here at number 3 for the Patriots, stays in the East Coast. The Cardinals then are jumping for joy, yipping, honestly, because they have two really good options here. They could either stick and pick and take Marvin Harrison, or if they get, you know, an absolute god offer, they could move down a little bit and accumulate some more assets. Now, looking at some of these teams that could potentially trade up, the Chargers won't trade up. The Giants probably won't trade up. I doubt they'd be that risky. Titans won't trade up. The Falcons and Bears probably won't trade up, although Chicago, I guess, could jump up to 4 or 5 to get Marvin Harrison, but they don't have a lot of picks. They have 2 really good ones, but they don't have a plethora of picks. The Jets won't move up. The first team to me that would move up would be the Minnesota Vikings, and we've talked about that on this channel. It would take probably at least pick 11 and 23. They got another back-end first-rounder from the Texans. It would take probably a third as well, probably to get that deal done with Arizona, which would be for J.J. McCarthy. But I think the Cardinals, they stick here and they go with Marvin Harrison Jr. out of Ohio State, get themselves a certified stud to pair along with Kyler Murray. Then that leaves number 5, the Los Angeles Chargers. Again, I do think that they are a trade-down candidate. If not, I think Malik Neighbors would be a fantastic pick. But I do actually see the Chargers trading down here. Like, they are obviously not in the market for a quarterback. This is a really good receiver class, so you could even go farther down the board and take a receiver, and I think you'll be fine. So I do think the Minnesota Vikings move up with the Chargers, and in this instance, the Vikings would be looking at quarterback, and the best quarterback available from most estimations would be J.J. McCarthy. Now, I do also, I'll wait to make my second point, but I think J.J. McCarthy would be the pick here at pick 5 if the Vikings trade up. Now, if Kevin O'Connell sees a guy in J.J. McCarthy that he really likes that can run his system, you know, a big influence from Sean McVay, obviously formerly being with the Rams, I think that would be quite the risky move. But again, if you identify a guy as your quarterback in the draft, you got to move heaven and earth to get him, and that's exactly what the Vikings do here. At pick 6, the New York Giants are up. Now, truthfully, with the way Michael Penix is trending, don't be surprised. Well, do be surprised, but don't be blindsided by the fact that Michael Penix could go number 6 to the Giants. I'm not going to be that risky. What I am going to say is that they are desperate for a receiver, and Malik Neighbors is a fantastic prospect. He's a guy that's going to instantly transform that receiving room. You lost your best weapon in Saquon Barkley. Darren Waller, will he, won't he retire? Who knows? And you don't have any receivers to speak of, so Malik Neighbors is going to be a great pick for the Giants there. And then at number 7, the Titans. pretty much every scenario here end up with Joe Alt. I kind of doubt that he goes earlier than that just because of the way the board's going to play out with these quarterbacks, especially with now probably 4 quarterbacks going in the top 5 to 6 picks. They get Joe Alt. Now, the Falcons are also a trade down candidate, but like I mentioned, there aren't a lot of teams that I think would want to trade up necessarily, because, like I said, Bears, Jets, Chargers not trading up. Broncos probably not. I wouldn't think so. The Raiders could. The Saints probably shouldn't. The Colts probably shouldn't. The Seahawks definitely won't. Jaguars probably won't. So if you're Atlanta here, I think you got to go with the best defender available. They've spent numerous assets on offense over the years. I think that guy pretty consensusly is Dallas Turner. Now, if you're the Chicago Bears, again, I do see the Bears being in a team that is going to field offers for pick 9. They're gonna hit the phones, and I don't know if they are going to be blown away by anything, truthfully. And I think that if you're looking at a guy in Rome Odunze at 9, I just think that makes too much sense. Again, if you're not absolutely blown away with an offer, then you have no problem sticking at 9 and picking Rome Odunze to pair with Caleb Williams. Now, people have been arguing against this, saying, well, Keenan Allen. Keenan Allen is like 31, 32 years old, very injured. I don't think that the Bears see him as the long-term answer at receiver 2 behind DJ Moore. I think Rome Odunze would be an excellent addition to the Bears, and especially because his play style complements DJ so drastically. Like they really are like yin and yang at receiver. The New York Jets, now, I've said throughout this whole process that I thought they were going to go with an offensive lineman. Still would not be surprised if Olu Fashanu was the pick of 10. Would not surprise me in the least bit. But they've aggressively addressed that position of need in free agency. So I think that leaves their options a little bit more open at pick 10. I actually have them going with Brock Bowers, I think, for the first time. He's such a unique weapon, and I think the thought of pairing him with Aaron Rodgers, pairing him alongside of Garrett Wilson, with Breece Hall in the backfield, really gets you excited about this Jets offense. Their defense has not been the issue. It's been elite for 2 years in a row now. The offense really needs to pick up slack, and again, they're banking on having a healthy Aaron Rodgers, obviously, but other than that, they're going to have a really good core group of guys around him. Chargers are now up to bat. Listen, I think they need to address receiver and defense. At this current position, I think 11 is probably too risky to take receiver 4 in this draft, assuming Marv, Rome, and Neighbors go in the top 10, which they will, I'm assuming. Right here, I think that you're looking, if you're the Chargers, probably at defense. Why not get a guy right in your backyard, Laiatu Latu, the edge rusher from UCLA, a really technical pass rusher, really, really good with his hands. Again, I think that he's a guy that would fit in Jim Harbaugh's defense, in Jesse Minter's defense, especially. And I think that that's a guy that they would love to bring in while accumulating additional assets. The Denver Broncos are now on the board, and truthfully, I still have no idea what to do with the Broncos. Because on one hand, you want to go with best player available. On the other hand, you're like, they're so desperate for quarterback. But what I think the Broncos should do, and what I think they will do, is at number 12, take the best player available, which in this instance would be Olu Fashanu, because they know they're not going to be good in 2024. Right? This is not a year that they're going to like, oh yeah, let's get a quarterback, let's try to win the division. Not happening. Get the best player available and have him be a cornerstone for your team going forward. Now, a team that I think might take the opposite direction of that would be the Oakland Raiders. Wow, Oakland Raiders, that's a throwback. The Las Vegas Raiders. Excuse me, sorry, Mark Davis. At pick 13, taking Michael Penix Jr. This is a guy who has really, really seen his draft stock rise as of late. Ran really fast. His medicals all checked out at the combine. He's looking good. He's obviously, if you've watched him, he has an absolute rocket launcher attached to his left arm. The dude can throw the football. And again, you got to think they're in a division with Justin Herbert and Patrick Mahomes. They need some firepower at quarterback. I think if they identify Michael Penix as their guy, and that's a Raiders pick in my opinion. That is really a Raiders pick for me. For the New Orleans Saints, now I think again their philosophy is they're kind of really stuck in mud. They really are like what's the direction of the Saints right now? Like they're not bad enough to have a premium draft pick. They're not good enough to really make any noise. They're so stuck financially. I think they go with their best player on the board, and to me, that would be Jared Verse. Cameron Jordan is not going to be kicking it for much longer. Unfortunately, he's close to the retirement home. He's closer than he was, a few years earlier in his career, obviously. I think that this is a guy who is really, really good. He's really strong, got a great bull rush. I did an episode with McConnell. He compared him to DeMarcus Ware, which I thought was really, really smart. More of the size of like Robert Mathis, like you mentioned, but DeMarcus Ware, I think, is a great comp. Um, but I think, yeah, the Saints would be lucky to have Jared Verse at pick 14. Pick 15, the Indianapolis Colts. Corner, to me, is probably a position they go. Now, you can kind of have your pick, whether you prefer Terrion Arnold, whether you prefer Quinyon Mitchell. I think there's more upside with Quinyon Mitchell, and I think that he's seen consensusly as a better player, or I guess a player with more upside, I guess you could say. So I actually think that he will be the pick there for number 15 with the Colts. Now, the Seattle Seahawks are a team that I definitely think is going to try to facilitate a trade down. Um, Looking at the board, I think there are a lot of good options for the Seahawks right now that would be there later on in the draft. And I personally think that they're going to make a move. Honestly, I see them making the move with Philadelphia, moving up 6 spots, get a couple seconds. That's going to go through. And the Eagles right here would definitely take Terrion Arnold. They need help at corner. Terrion Arnold, like I said, is seen as potential cornerback 1 in this draft. So they get their guy at corner to improve their weakness, in my opinion, on their team. And the Seahawks accomplish their goal. They get extra draft picks both this year and next year. Moving on to the Jaguars. Honestly, I still think that they need help at receiver. I've kind of not been thinking about this, but like Christian Kirk is their only like legit guy at this point. I know that Gabe Davis signed in free agency. I'm not a big Gabe Davis guy, so maybe they don't go receiver at 17. But I think offensive line is another issue that they really have. Fuaga out of Oregon State is a guy to me who's probably the best offensive lineman available. Now, maybe he's more of a guard. But by golly, the interior of the offensive line of the Jacksonville Jaguars last year was atrocious. And again, you want to get this offense back on track. They were kind of slumped for the whole year last year. You want to have Travis Etienne have a more consistent ground game. I think he averaged like 3.8 yards per carry last year. Was not a good year across the board for the Jaguars. And one way you could fix that is by helping to fix the interior of the offensive line. Cincinnati Bengals, pick 18. Again, you got to go with offensive line. Troy Fattanu. I think this is a part in the draft where we're going to see a lot of linemen go very quickly for the Cincinnati Bengals. Again, just protect Joe Burrow. For the Rams, you have a huge void to fill with the lack of Aaron Donald. That is massive. That really, I think, altered their draft plan quite significantly. In the first round, there are 2 guys that are going to go, Johnny Newton and Byron Murphy. Take your pick. Consensus is pretty split, I would say, at this point. I think Johnny Newton is probably a little more tenacious, has a little more tenacity, got a little mean to him, and I think they like that. So Johnny Newton, welcome to Los Angeles. The Steelers, I really do think they go with receiver here, not only because they traded away Deontay Johnson and George Pickens is probably their only weapon right now, but, they're trying this weird little quarterback experiment with Russell Wilson and Justin Fields. They got to give him some weapons. So give him a guy like Brian Thomas Jr., help him stretch the field and create some big plays. Similar to the Rams, the Dolphins also lost their all-pro interior defensive lineman. You could peg Byron Murphy as the guy here at pick 21, and I'm not going to totally disagree with that. I think they have some other needs as well, but I think that he's probably, of the guys remaining, the best option, unless you want to put J.C. Latham at guard because they lost Robert Hunt. But honestly, I think interior, the defensive line, is a much bigger need for them. Byron Murphy will be the pick at 21 for them. And then my Seattle Seahawks at pick 22. For some reason, people keep mocking them Cooper DeJean. I don't get that, to be honest with you. I understand that they're picking him as a safety. I still don't love it. What I do love and what I'll continue to love is the Seahawks taking Jackson Powers Johnson. He's a center. He can bump out and play guard. The Seahawks just need desperate help at the interior of the offensive line, and they get that with Jackson Powers Johnson. So good for them. The Los Angeles Chargers, again, at pick 11, I had them go with Latu, the pass rusher out of UCLA. I go offense now with pick 23. And again, a guy like J.C. Latham and Amaris Mims are both very, very intriguing because I think that both can be really, really good. Now, with J.C. Latham, you probably have more guard versatility, and Amaris Mims is probably more raw as a prospect. I would probably venture to say that J.C. Latham is their right tackle of the future, opposite of Rashawn Slater. For the Dallas Cowboys at pick 24, Geez, I mean they've got some needs. Don't get me wrong here. Would not be surprised if they go with a offensive tackle. I think that the best one available is probably Amaris Mims, and to me, that's just a Jerry Jones type of guy, a guy that's just kind of a freak. He's just massive, and he's a big project. The Cowboys have done a really good job of developing offensive linemen for the past, I would say, like decade, pretty much. And I think they see an interesting project in Amaris Mims and a guy that they could really mold into being a potential All Pro. Green Bay Packers pick 25. This is a spot where I do think we see Cooper DeJean go. Packers need help at safety badly. And Cooper DeJean is one of the more intriguing prospects. You know, he ran really well at his combine. He actually put up really good numbers. So I think Cooper DeJean definitely cemented himself as a first rounder. And I think he goes to Green Bay. Tampa Bay Buccaneers pick 26. To me, again, this is Chop Robinson. You could, again, argue Nate Wiggins. I think they need help with pass rush more than anything else. And then the Cardinals are happy once again because they get to take Nate Wiggins. They go Nate Wiggins at 27, and they go with Marvin Harrison Jr. at pick 4. That's a pretty successful first round if you ask me. The Buffalo Bills at pick 28, who are in desperate need of receiver, do not trade up. They are able to snag one of the steals of the draft, Adonai Mitchell, at pick 28 to be their Stephon Diggs replacement. Detroit Lions at pick 29. I think Graham Barton would be an excellent pick to replace Jonah Jackson. Again, their scheme is so heavily dependent on just phenomenal offensive line play, and Jonah Jackson did that for them. They're gonna run the ball a lot with David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs. Ben Johnson's play calling proves that, and so they need dominant interior play from the offensive linemen, and they get that with Graham Barton. Let's go with the Baltimore Ravens at pick 30. Now, honestly, I think they go with an offensive tackle, especially given this current circumstance. Tyler Guyton out of Oklahoma is a guy that makes a lot of sense for them with Ronnie Staley dealing with a lot of injuries, unfortunately. So it makes sense. The last time they took a tackle from Oklahoma turned out to be pretty good. And then the 49ers at pick 31. I think they go corner. Kool-Aid McKinstry is still on the board. I think that would be a nice fit. And then the Kansas City Chiefs probably go with a receiver. Take your pick if you want Xavier Worthy, Keon Coleman. There is Ladd McConkey down here at 40. Just for shits and giggles, I'll go with Xavier Worthy. Let's check out the full mock draft. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Thank you guys for watching, and don't forget to subscribe. Peace out.